So this is the Adidas Strung Plus, which is essentially an Crazy Fast Plus, but with an upper made exclusively out of strings. And you might be wondering, what on earth is up with that, and if they're actually even good to play in? So in today's video, I'll tell you everything you need to know, including the good and the bad, because there's a bit of everything. Oh, and by the way, the link to Unisport is right up there if you just want to cop right now. Let's go. So Strung. What the hell is Strung, Jay? Well, essentially, it's a new, pretty innovative way of engineering uppers on footwear that allows Adidas to add much more precise and specific support and structure compared to when they build uppers with knit or by weaving. And basically, you can go in and place these strings with a lot more purpose, meaning that you place each individual string to either add a little bit of softness and flexibility, like here in the forefoot, or you can go in and add a bit more reinforcement and stiffness, like they've done with the gray strings here on the toe bumper or in the midfoot. And that means that Adidas can basically build the upper depending on the sport. How does the athletes move? Where do you need support? Where do you need flexibility? All that jazz. They can just do that in the computer software, and then they go to a machine that basically winds each individual string around some pegs sitting on a frame. Think string art, where you have that wheel and you wind the strings around and end up with a picture of David Beckham. It's kind of the same, just a lot more high tech. And as you can see, that whole process creates this super intricate, but also very strong. Strung, pun not intended, but hey, it works. But this super intricate upper that is then heat pressed and then melted together, so it basically bonds. And that's it. There's no need for any additional materials, foam on the inside, any liners for support. It's just string basically sitting there as the upper, which is cool. I mean, in this day and age where we need to be mindful of our footprint, that's a very good thing and a cool technology to explore in the future. But the thing is, on paper, cool, but how do they feel? Well, like I said, Strung is based on the Adidas X Crazy Fast Plus. And when you get it on your foot, you can tell that there's a similarity in an instant. It's 5, 6, 7, depending on size, grams heavier than the Crazy Fast, which it's a bit, but it's still ridiculously light. And you also get that very sleek, tight-fitting sensation where it hugs your foot very closely, but without ever squeezing it, being uncomfortable, or feeling claustrophobic. And because of that fairly deep lacing and the overall shape of the boot, I also reckon that it's gonna fit most foot shapes out there if you can live with that relatively low and pointy and rather snug fitting toe box. The upper itself, it's not as soft as what we see on the Crazy Fast Plus, the Crazy Fast Plus, but it still has a good amount of softness and flexibility to it, especially out here in the forefoot where you can actually feel the zones. It is more pliable out here and then stiffens up as you come up to the midfoot. Of course, that also means that Strung is not as super extremely wildly, I don't believe it, flexible as that very, very thin mesh on the Crazy Fast Plus. But with that said, it's still soft enough to take to the shape of your foot relatively easily and feel pretty comfortable out of the box. And as you break it in, and the more you wear it, the material will soften up. But still somehow, I will say that Strung has more natural tension and strength to it compared to the X Crazy Fast Plus, which means that the X might feel a bit more naked and free. You don't get the same sensation here, where it feels a bit more structured and locked in because of the upper. And that also means that for me, it's hard to say which I think is the better boot, because it kind of depends on what you want. That naked free sensation in X, or a slightly more balanced feel where you have a bit more structure and rigidity and stiffness where you need it in Strung. Oh, and I should probably also mention the size. True to size in these, they fit the same as the Crazy Fast, so go with your regular Adidas size and you should be fine. True size. Now, on the ball, Strung also feels rather unique compared to anything else out there, because due to this layered upper, you have a lot of natural texture on the ball, but it also feels, you can almost hear it, it feels a little bit raw and gritty in the texture as well. It's not coated or anything, it just comes from the string alone. The upper itself is a little bit thicker than that very paper-thin X Crazy Fast Plus, but it's still sufficiently sharp and close on the ball to feel very one-to-one and honest. And especially because of this sleek shape with that very low pointy toe box, it just feels so nimble and almost just begs you to take the ball and run with it. It is very ballet dancer-like, and you know, it's just lovely to be on the ball if you like that really sharp, honest feel. Of course, it also sits on the speed frame with the aero plate and that raised toe, which is like, the snapback is ridiculous. It feels super, super responsive when you push off, and it's not the most comfortable outsole out there by any means, but it's not built for comfort. It's not built to feel smooth. It's built to feel fast. It's committed to that, and it does that really, really well. So it's innovative, it feels fast, it feels good. But there are still a couple of annoying things that you need to know about. And one thing is that somehow the foam package in the heel seems to be a bit thicker than on the X Crazy Fast Plus, and also the heel in general, on my boot at least, fits a bit wider than on the X. And that means that it doesn't sit as tightly, as close to this area of the foot around the heel and the ankle, which affects the lockdown in a negative way. And then there's the price. Yeah, I get it. Innovation, limited edition, blah, blah. But it's expensive, period. And while much of the upper is soft in the areas you want it to be, I did get a little bit of like stiffness with the upper bunching up when I bent the boot right around this area, which added some unpleasant pressure points. They go away when you break it in, but why do I have to wait? And finally, Strung is probably not the best boot to use in the winter, or at any point in time where the pitches are wet. Which of course the pitch is today, because Denmark. But anyways, it's not great, because given the fact that the upper is made out of strings that are melted together, it leaves these little areas of free space in between the strings that now just come across as actual holes. There are holes in the upper, meaning that now today my socks are gonna get wet and my feet are gonna get cold. So probably would have been better if they had released these in the summer. Well, it wouldn't be a problem, except for Denmark where it rains all the time. But hey, I guess you could say that the boots are now a little bit saint-like, because they're holy. I should have worked more on that. Wow. With that said though, I think Strung is actually very cool, and I feel it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, given that it's super innovative and also I think a bit experimental, which is something I think we've seen less and less of over the last couple of years. So it's very good to see. Is it better than the X Crazy Fast Plus? Not necessarily, but I think it really depends on what you want. But I think Strung is cool because obviously it's innovative, it's very special, and it's limited edition, and I reckon it looks really nice. But I mean, you can also you can be fine with just the regular X Crazy Fast Plus. But no matter which of the two boots you want, you can go and buy them in the link to Unisport right over there. But not, of course, before you told me what you think of Strung in the comment section right down below. And then, of course, also don't forget to go subscribe to the channel with the notifications on if you haven't done so already. And if you just want to stay on YouTube, learn some skills, hit the playlist right down there. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.